Forspoken was one of the games that caught my eye when I saw the trailer 2 years ago. I mean, you can control elements and hit enemies with it like Avatar Aang. What's not to like, right? Though as more trailers were shown, a playable demo was shared and the release date was near, the game gathered a bunch of negative feedback due to comparison from initial trailers and comparison to other games that were being released in the same period. I still bought the game and played it because I'm still interested. So after finishing the game's story and exploring a lot of the open world, here are my thoughts about Forspoken. Hey there! I'm Stilix and I'm here to discuss some of my comments after playing through Forspoken, where I just finished the main story and now exploring the rest of its world. Forspoken is an open-world action RPG game where you play as Frey Holland, an orphan in New York who is currently having troubles with bad people in the city and just wants to start over and live together with her pet cat Homer. She then found a sort of bracelet that transported her to the magical world of Atia, where she discovered her new powers. She found out that most of the world is covered by corruption she called the Break, where living things mutated into monsters and non-living things were, well, broken. Apparently immune to the Break, she ventured to the last surviving city of Sipal, where she learned the protectors of Atia, the Tantas, also became corrupted and could be the cause of the Break. A woman named Auden asked for Frey's help retrieving the works of his father. Frey agreed since that would also help her to find out how she can go back to New York, and that's where her main adventure begins. Talking about the overall look of the game, in my opinion, the game's not bad. The open world environment is beautiful enough, the look of the spells while attacking enemies are great, traversal is awesome, and boss battles look epic. I think most of the people that have negative comments about the game's look can't help comparing it to the other PlayStation games that were released last year, and considering this was a current-gen exclusive, I have to agree it really falls short. Character models are clunky and faded, and when they talk, their expressions are very minimal, like they're having a hard time opening their mouths. What I did not expect playing a current-gen exclusive game was the long, awkward pauses at the start, during, and end of dialogues and cutscenes. Check some of these scenes.
Auden's putting a lot of faith in you, you know.
I didn't ask her to.
Oh, charming. Well, be seeing you again soon.
Forgive me, but there is always a crisis afoot.
Well, you may have a point there, but nonetheless...
She's a guard, Frey. We need to get out of here, now.
I was sorry to hear about Olivia. Just can't believe Tanta Sila did what she did. You be careful out there. She's not one to mess with lightly. What'll it be?
I'm not sure if they did not plan the proper transition times for dialogues or if there are load times during conversations. Let's discuss the story next, and spoiler warning, I'll be discussing some major plot points and also the ending, so go to this timestamp if you want to skip this part. The first half of the story was not engaging enough, but I think it wasn't the story's fault. It's more on the fact there's some sort of skill gate you have for the first part. I'll explain more of this during the game's spells and quests portion of the video. Some parts of the story's first half I want explained did not happen. Like when battling Tanta Sila, the first main boss of the game, I would expect some new info explaining the cause of the break, if it really were the Tantas that caused it, but nope. You battle her, she dies, end of her story. While writing this, I was going to say that the main reason why I feel like the story was not engaging or interesting enough is because I felt lost most of the time, just going autopilot mode on completing quests and exploring bit by bit the open world. So the main reason Frey defeated Sila was to avenge this little girl named Olivia, who died during Sila's rampage in Sipal, and after winning the fight, Frey returned to the city as a hero because the corruption did not progress further into the city. The victory felt really hollow. There were questions in my mind unanswered, and Frey did not feel any better about Olivia's death even after killing Sila. That's where I've realized I was feeling what Frey was feeling. She was lost at the start, overwhelmed with the new world, new magic she doesn't know how to use, the break happening all around her, the people of Sipal not knowing what to feel about her. For a person who grew up alone most of her life and now being in the eyes of all the people, she doesn't know how to handle all of that. While playing, I've felt at times, is this really what I need to do? and I think Frey is feeling that as well at the first half of the game. I'm not sure if that was intentional, but if it was, then I will give them props for creating the story the way it was. Most of the story's mysteries were thrown at you in the last 3 chapters of the game. The story picks up, as well as your skills as Frey. It became more engaging, although the 2 revelations at the story's climax were, for me, predictable. It was still enjoyable to witness when it finally happened. There's that satisfaction and the urge to say, I knew it. So the first reveal was that Frey was born in Atia and her mother was one of the Tantas, Cinta. It was also revealed that Cuff was the main villain all along, that he was the demon Susurrus tasked to destroy the Tantas and Atia, and the main reason why the Tantas were corrupted and why the break started. Cinta's revelations to Frey on how she traveled to New York using the Torana, her magic portal where he met Frey's dad, how they sealed Susurrus before during the Redig War and got cursed by the cuffs on each of their arms, the main reason why they became corrupted. Cinta, having no other choice before the corruption took over her, sent Frey to New York to protect her, in which Susurrus removed himself from Cinta to follow Frey, explaining how Frey found the cuff that transported her back to Atia, were all satisfying to see while playing the climax of the game. The music helped a lot. The only negative comment I have about this part of the story is Susurrus' backstory. The issue for me was I felt the Redig War was hardly talked about during dialogues or cutscenes. If you're not paying attention to some objectives that you can do in the open world, you may not know about the war that happened and why Susurrus was summoned. Finally, let's discuss the ending, which I have mixed feelings about. The final battle was great. After all of the revelations, Frey understood what her mom has gone through and that she was loved all along. She embraced all the Tanta's magic, realizing she was never alone, defeated Susurrus and chose to seal the demon back to her as a permanent cuff. All great scenes for me. What made me a bit frustrated was the last scene. Let's go back a bit. At the start of the story, Frey being responsible enough to give away Homer temporarily to the judge because she knows the judge can provide better care for Homer is what's pushing me to progress through the story, because I really want to see her come back to him at the end. And that last scene of Frey giving Homer a message but in the form of a monologue, I can't confirm if she got back to him or not. The moment where Homer saw the purple streaks in the sky and knowing it was Frey, while Frey during her monologue promises she will come back, really moved me. Okay, so there are some clues that Frey did come back. First is Frey saying at the start of her monologue, "Hey Homer, it's been a while," and explaining she was busy restoring Atia could mean she has returned and talked to Homer not too long ago, maybe right after defeating Susurrus. On the other hand, this could also mean that it really has been a while since she last saw him when she gave him away to the judge, but I will force myself to believe my first clue. Second clue was Frey received the power to create the Torana portals from her mom, the same portal that transported her to Atia at the start. So it's easy for Frey to go back, and there's no reason not to, except maybe she is super busy with all of her new duties. And last is that moment with Homer seeing the purple streak in the sky and knowing it was Frey. This could mean he saw the same purple streak before, when Frey came back and visited him, so he knows it's her whenever he sees it. Yes, this ending moved me, but I'm still frustrated because Frey having all the cats at Atia, and she having the power to create the portals, I cannot think of any reason why Frey did not just grab Homer back and send him to Atia where she can take care of him with all the other Tanta familiars. Homer deserved better, that's all I'm saying. Next that I want to discuss are Frey's spells and the quests you can do in the game. Going back to the part where I felt the story was progressing slowly, it was not the story, but Frey's skills. For the first half of the game, Frey can only access her purple magic or her earth spells. It eventually becomes stale, and most of the mutant bosses in the open world are resistant to Frey's purple magic. After finally getting the second one, Silas' red magic or the fire spells, I thought I could customize my spell HUD to just choose specific spells from each of the magic skill trees and just cycle through them. But I need to switch to the specific colored magic and then choose the specific spell to use. It's a bit of a hassle, especially if you want to use support skills from different colored magics. For example, you want to use the water support skill that raises your crit damage while you are doing fire spells on your enemies. Eventually, you can get the hang of switching magic, and also there are specific spells per skill tree for fast switching, though you can only do it on the ground from my experience, which you're rarely in the ground in the first place. Doing magic parkour while hitting your max level spells is very satisfying. Personally, my favorite was Silas' red magic and Olas's green magic. Red magic was good for doing AoE damage to your enemies. You just need to be careful of getting hit since it's close range magic. For long range, Olas's green magic is very good since it auto-aims your spells. The only downside of it is receiving it very late in the game. Story-wise, the final boss is all that is left for it to be used on. And that's if you want to use it because you need to consider leveling it up first and get all of its support magic. Like I said at the start, side quests can be a bit repetitive, as well as objectives in the open world. You go to one point in the map, battle enemies, get treasure, read some lore, get a small boost in your stats, then repeat it again. Repeating those tasks results in repeating dialogues and cutscenes, so it becomes boring eventually. Having a really wide array of possible dialogues could help. Even though tasks are repeating, at least you could look forward to what Frey and Cup will talk about next. In connection with that, I like that after you've finished the main story and defeated the final boss, there are new side missions aligned with the events after the final battle. So they had new dialogues and new cutscenes for us to watch. New banter and dynamic between Frey and Cuff since Cuff was the main villain all along and is now tasked to help Frey restore Atia whether he likes it or not. Last thing I want to talk about are the boss battles. What I liked about the boss battles against Atantas and Susurrus was they were all unique in a way. From Silas the floor is lava mechanic, fighting on water against Prov, fighting Olas while Frey can't see or hear anything, to Susurrus battle where you need to specifically use a magic element depending on what he is currently weak against because he changed it during the battle. Overall, all good boss battles. What I don't like is that Olas's boss battle technically did not happen because of plot reasons. You get to only fight a monster she conjured up. Also, if you played Valkyrie Elysium, which was also released by Square Enix, Susurrus' battle was a bit predictable because in that game as well, the final boss switches up his elemental weakness because elemental magic was part of the battle system there. In summary, I liked Forspoken. It was an enjoyable game with satisfying battles and a good story. It just falls short in the overall look and sometimes in the dialogue. I'd still recommend it to everyone to check this game out. Just wait for it to be on sale, I guess. Hey guys, thanks for staying at the end of this video. I thought I would try something different and talk about games and my thoughts after playing it. Please give it a like and comment some of your thoughts about the game or about this new type of video I will hopefully do more soon. Go subscribe to the channel as well if you like. I will post more Forspoken content and other gaming videos soon. Till next time!